Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Veronika Sonsev, and I'm one of the co-founders of CommerceNext. For those that are new, CommerceNext is a community event series and conference for marketers at retail and direct-to-consumer brands. On behalf of my co-founders, Scott Silverman and Alan Dick, I want to welcome you to today's webinar. The topic is understanding shopper psychology as we get ready for Black Friday. This is such an important topic given everything going on this year. Normally, the holidays are filled with joy and excitement for what's ahead. But this year, with COVID-19 and the pandemic, consumer mindset is a lot different. So we created this webinar to help you prepare for this holiday season. So thank you so much for tuning in live. And for those that are watching later, thank you for watching the replay. This is a live event, so there could be some hiccups along the way, but we really want to make these webinars as interactive as possible. So make sure you load in your questions. We're also going to be asking you questions via live polls. And I'm going to turn on the slides now just to walk through a few important thank yous. First, I want to thank today's panelists, Lucie Buisson, Chief Product Officer at Contentsquare, Jason McNary, CEO of Americas at Uno Disequente, Shawn Johnson, EVP of Merchandising Company Stores at Tommy Hilfiger, and Darren Hull, Chief Customer Officer at Vera Bradley. Thank you for joining us today and for taking the time to share your wisdom with this community. I also want to thank our webinar partner, Contentsquare. You know, when we decided to partner with Contentsquare for this webinar, they really came to us with great research on customer behaviors and mindset during the holidays, and I'm excited to have them share that with you. I also wanted to thank our gifting partner, Gift Now by Loop Commerce. Gift Now is providing digital gifts for all of our webinar speakers, as well as 5 lucky attendees. And this is only for live attendees, so I'm sorry if you're watching in replay, but one of 5 lucky attendees will also be receiving a gift via Gift Now. Now, here's our agenda for today's call. I'm going to quickly run through upcoming events and housekeeping. Then Lucie's going to present on holiday shopper psychology. We're going to then go into polls and then followed by the panel discussion. So the next webinar is on the post-holiday battle plan strategies for 2021 and beyond. I know we're all deep in holiday and you probably think it's early to think 2021, but it's right around the corner at this point. And we have some heavy hitters joining us, Dave Bolotsky, CEO of Uncommon Goods, and Rebecca Traverso, VP of Marketing from Third Love. And our very own Alan Dick will be moderating this discussion. So if you're interested, sign up at bit.ly/CNWeb24. And you can find all of our upcoming events. We've reorganized our website, and there's an upcoming events page, and it goes on and lists all of our events through the end of the year. So if you want to plan ahead, that's where you go to find out what's happening at CommerceNext. Now, I'm going to walk through a little bit of housekeeping. Don't worry if you miss anything. We record these, and the webinar will be available for replay starting tomorrow. If you have questions, and we encourage questions, you'll see the right-hand panel on your screen. You can enter your question at the bottom, and then we're screening those questions, publishing them. And if you see any that you like, make sure to upvote the questions. That's how we understand that they're important, and we'll make sure that we ask the panelists. We also have handouts available, the slides from today, as well as a holiday-related handout from Contentsquare. Those are available in the Handouts tab. And for those watching the replay, those handouts, you can find them at the bottom of your player. So now I'm excited to have Lucie join us. Lucie, if you want to turn on your camera, Lucie's going to talk about the holiday shopper psychology.
Hello, everyone. Thank you very much, Veronika, for having me today. And yeah, so the goal of today is really to tell you, what we know from holiday shopper based on the data we are collecting at Contentsquare. So I will start with some context on the data. The number you see here is global retail. So it's e-commerce plus offline or in-store purchase. So you see that it's like between 2018 and 2019, it was a growth of around 4%. And this year prediction are talking about a decrease about 10% globally. If now we look at e-commerce, you see that it's a complete different story, because the growth is much higher. It was already much higher between 2018 and 2019 with almost 14%, but it's this year it's even more visible with a growth between 25 and 35%. The reason why the range is so high is because holidays are coming. So we are only working on prediction and projection at this stage, but it's what we predict from the increase of traffic and the increase in conversion we've seen since the beginning of the year, and more importantly, since the beginning of the holiday season, because a lot of you already started the promotion around the holiday season. So I know you know that, but just to emphasize that e-commerce is super important, even more important this year, because it's going to be one of the way to recover or to limit the impact of the pandemic on your business. So I'm going to focus for the next slide on some tips and some recommendation to be ready and to be super successful during the holiday season. I would say that the first thing is during the holiday season, more than any other time, you won't have a second chance to make a first impression. Like 63% of your traffic is going to be new visitor, meaning 63% of your traffic is going to see your website for the first time. Almost half of them are going to quit just after one page, and 50% of your content is going to go unseen. So with those three numbers, I think you can realize the level of expectation and how demanding it is to do this first good impression on the user. But it's critical to have them back on your website and to have them engaging and converting with your offer and with your brand during the holiday season. What we see also from and it's something that is confirmed year after year, is that holiday shoppers are much more active, meaning we see an increase of the number of average click per page from 3.2% to 4.6%. So you see it's a huge increase, because it's a 50% increase, meaning they are like 50% more active on your websites. So you might think it's contradictory with what I just said, which is that they are leaving after one page, but the story is they're going to decide if they stay, if they spend some time on your website, but once they do, they are much more active. The third thing, you need to know about your holiday shopper is that they are strong-minded. And the reason why we say that is because we see them interacting much more with the search bar and with the filter. And you see it's a huge number. An increase of 43% is a really huge increase. It means that like during holiday season, much more people knows what they are looking for, and they are going to use directly the search bar to get to the right content or to get to the right product super quickly and super fast. So the way you work on your search bar and the way you work on the landing page after your search bar is extremely important. And the second thing that is extremely important is your filter, because they are very strong-minded and they know exactly what they want, they are going to use the filter on the list page, on the search page, to be able to reach the exact product they want to buy much faster. The fourth advice is really like to pay attention to your loading time and to the web performance. Like what we see year after year is that checkout loading time increased by 50% in average during holiday season, and the homepage increased by 23%. And it's huge. like the average loading time across the industry during the holidays last year was 2.39 seconds. And you have to know that after 2 seconds of wait, after 2 seconds of loading time, you already lost 50% of your user. So when you know how our client and user are sensitive to loading time, and when you see that already those loading time tend to increase a lot during holidays because of huge traffic, because with change of scale, it's extremely important to have the web performance top of mind in your holidays strategy. So everything I just described is how different people are normally during holidays. But as Veronika said, this year is even more different. It's like different by different, because they're gonna act differently because it's holidays, but they're gonna have there is no normality because of everything that's happening. We really live in changing time. This kind of crowds in malls seems to be like long memory, like when you watch a series or you watch a movie and you see people kissing, or you see people like in line or in huge crowd. It seems like it was like an eternity ago, but it's the new world we have to live with, and it's the holidays we're going to have this year. So we see different reality coming, like high unemployment in the country, health and safety concern, no large gathering, also the election coming. All those things are really creating a new reality. And I think the main advice I would give you here is to be ready for the unpredictable. And what is super important during those moments where everything is different, where there is no normality, and where the reference are not really useful, is to be able to listen to your customer and to be able to listen how the trends are moving, and to really rely on data, to really rely on almost real-time insight and data to understand what your customer wants and what your customer need. I'm going to give you some data. What you see here is the evolution of traffic on sites during the first part of the year. So you see here it's before the pandemic started, and then you see like how the trend is going up while the confinement exists all across the country. Then you see that it's going down starting in May, and it starts going up again at the mid-August, when the pandemic starts to increase again. And I can tell you that we can confirm the data today. And it's even more impressive when you look at transaction. You see here it's the evolution of transaction. Even at the lower point, we were much higher than at the beginning of the year. And here again, we see the trend going up very fast and very quickly. So it really shows how the traffic and how a lot of people are first-time buyer on the digital. And I think it's a huge opportunity for everybody working in digital, but it's also a huge responsibility. A lot of people now have no choice but to buy on the internet. So it's extremely important to make sure that you have an inclusive experience, an experience that can help people that are really like first-time comer, new first-time user of your website, and first-time buyer also on internet. And this is really a new reality that you need to have in mind when you think about holidays. So try to keep it super simple, so everybody, all the people that are not online fashionista, can really use your website and can really benefit from your service. I wanted to show you also how it's different across the industry and how the industry are changing. When you look at those trends week by week, you see increase and decrease between 5 and 20%. So it really shows the necessity of having a close monitoring of everything that is happening on your website. Really be able to identify the products that become hotter and hotter, that the products that are generating more and more demand, so you can really like work on your stocks and really work on your, I would say, your website content, the way you push product to be able to answer the need of your customer. And you see that again here. So the first slide was in traffic, in volume. You see that when you look at it from a transaction perspective, it's even more contrasted between the different industry. And what you see here at an industry level, it's really something that you can replicate at your website level, comparing the different product category you have to really identify where the demand is booming and where the demand is lower. So really be able to get in touch and to be in touch with your customer is the key advice for this holiday season. And the way you do that is really by using the data. Using the data they give you to better understand their need and their expectation. I wanted to finish on a more positive note. And I want to say that we are blown away by the level of reactivity of everybody and the level of reactivity and flexibility of the brand we are working with. And I'm sure it's a case for you also, how fast you were able to change your business, how fast you were able to change your website to be able to adapt to this new reality and to be able to adapt every week to everything that is unpredictable. We see more and more storytelling on your website. We see more and more inventory transparency, which is extremely important. Your customer understands that the reality is different and that those times are tough, but they need you to be transparent with them. Also, flexible financing is super important to help people manage their needs and their expectation, but with more flexibility. Anticipated, like we see like more and more user-generated content also, meaning more and more feedback, more and more advice, like a sense of community that is happening on a website, and that is kind of replicating what you could see in store. And of course, anticipated shipping delays with inventory. I should have said it before. Really like, which go with this trust you need to build with your customer. Remember that for a lot of them, it's the first time they buy on internet, or it's the first time they buy your brand. So the more transparent and the more trustable you appear, the better, and the higher your chance to build a long-term relationship with them. And I'm finishing with the augmented reality because this one is not easy. It's not like everybody can do that tomorrow, but I think it's a great story and a great example of how you can create an atmosphere on your website and how you can replicate what people love when they come to stores, which is trying up, if we talk about clothes, trying it, being able to see how it fits with you, with your environments. So very quickly, some example here of what our customer are saying. So Dan from Orvis, who is talking about engaging customer and how storytelling is super important, how you shift from your regular seasonal plan to have more ambassador stories and to really adapt to something that is not normal. You cannot just deploy your normal plan or your regular plan. You really have to sync your plan into this new reality. Elf, that is working on the virtual reality. What I was saying, you need to know how it fits on you, if it's the right product for you. And now you can do that online, which for them, it's a huge success. And then we see with Ashley, how user-generating content is really helping because, again, you are creating this sense of community on your website, and you make advice, you make everything much more tangible because people are using their own word to describe your product, to describe your brand, and because it's like the real world of the consumer, it's like ringing the bell much more and creating much more empathy with your user. So it's also something we really recommend to do because it's super efficient. quick word about Contentsquare, and then I'm going to give back the mic to Veronika. What we do at Contentsquare is we collect everything that is happening on your website, every interaction, every scroll, every click, every mouse movement, and it's what we call the micro behavior, and then we convert that into super easy to understand data visualization. So everyone in the marketing team, people in charge of content, people in charge of merchandising, people in charge of operation can understand what's happening almost in real time for your user. And so the outcome or the ultimate goal is to empower everybody to make better decisions and faster decisions. So it's really here to help you adapt to the unpredictable. Thank you very much.
Wonderful. Lucie, thank you so much. Now I'm going to move over to some polls before we jump into the panel. So just really quickly going into these. For those that are new, once we launch the polls, what you'll see is you can find the answers for them under closed polls. And for those that are watching the replay, we offer a download of those on the bottom of your player. So the first question, let me quickly get this launched. So using the happiness scale, how do you think customers will feel this holiday season? And the answers range from very happy, slightly happy, neutral, unhappy, to very unhappy. So no wrong answers here. We're just looking for a temperature check from you guys. The majority of you think that they're slightly happy or neutral. 43% slightly happy, 18% neutral. This question is, how important is it for retailers to create a festive atmosphere on their e-commerce? And it goes from very important to not important at all. All right, we're getting answers in. It looks like the majority of you guys think it's important. Some very important. Actually, I'm going to close this out now. Second to last question. Have you built e-commerce experiences that cater to behavioral changes observed since the pandemic? So, we've all had to adapt. Lucie shared some great data on consumer behavior and just the adoption of e-commerce since the pandemic has started, especially kind of given that we're moving into the second busy peak with the holiday. We're looking to see how many of you have built new e-commerce experiences. Wow, a lot of you have. This is really interesting. All right, it looks like about 65% of people have built new e-commerce experiences since the start of the pandemic. Now, finally, our last poll question, and this really kind of tees up the webinar for next week. In which of the following areas is your company planning to increase investment in 2021? And you can select more than one answer here. So I think we're looking for you to pick your top three. So fulfillment/logistics, customer experience, advertising, omni-channel/store technology, marketing technology, other, or we're not increasing investments in 2021. It looks like the majority of you are investing in customer experience, 28%, and marketing technology, 22%. There's a few. The next wave is logistics, advertising, and omni-channel. So I'm going to close this out. Awesome. All right, and now I'm going to ask the panelists to turn on their cameras, and we're going to start the panel portion of the discussion. Shawn, I see you on the screen. There's Daren. Hey, Daren. Daren, you're muted, just so you know. Lucie. We're just waiting for Jason. While we're waiting for Jason to turn on his camera. Awesome. So why don't we start off? I'm going to have everyone introduce themselves, and hopefully Jason can get his camera to work in a second, and we'll have him introduce himself last. We really are thrilled to have all of you join us to really kind of add color to this conversation about the consumer mindset this holiday. Shawn, do you want to go first and introduce yourself?
Sure. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Shawn Johnson. Really happy to be here with all of you. I am the head of merchandising for Tommy Hilfiger, our company stores or outlet business. I oversee all of the merchandising teams that includes men's, women's, kids, and accessories.
Wonderful. Welcome, Shawn. Do you want to go next?
Oops, your audio was.
Oh, is it there we go. Jason, I think your mic is echoing.
I'm sorry?
I think your mic was echoing. I don't know what's happening. All right.
These would be the technical challenges you referred to at the beginning.
Yes.
That's right. That's right. But we're getting a lot of questions, and it's the trade-off we get for getting live questions is making sure sometimes there's a little hiccups. But Darren, if you want to introduce yourself next, I think we're good now.
Sure. I'm Darren Hull. I'm the Chief Customer Officer at Vera Bradley. In that role, I'm responsible for all the sales channels, so physical stores, e-commerce, as well as wholesale, the marketing team and the customer team, so customer service, customer data, etc. Vera Bradley's been around for 37 years now and is the 4th largest handbag and accessory company in the U.S. Behind Coors, Coach, and Kate.
Awesome. Jason, do you want to go next?
Yeah, absolutely. My name is Jason McNary, and I'm the Chief Executive Officer for the Americas region with Uno de 50. Uno de 50 is a global fashion jewelry brand based out of Madrid, Spain, where all of our production is handcrafted. As I said, I oversee the Americas market, which includes mainly the USA, Canada, and Latin America.
Awesome. And Lucie, do you want to reintroduce yourself just for the people who joined late?
Yeah, but very quickly, I think you helped me a lot. So I'm Lucie. I'm the Chief Product Officer at Contentsquare. Contentsquare is a SaaS technology that is helping you better know how your customers are browsing your website, what is engaging and what is frustrating.
Wonderful, wonderful. And you have some great data to share. There was a lot of questions from your presentation, but before we kind of cover the questions, I wanted to start off with customer expectations because I think that sets a lot of the framework for this conversation. You know, what do you think customer expectations are this holiday season, kind of given everything going on, you know, COVID, the election? Jason, do you want to start off on this question?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I would say that primarily safety will be the primary concern for most customers and consumers, as well as the employees that are working within the stores as well. I think to follow that up, I would say companies that are that practice authenticity, that have you know, very clear social and corporate responsibilities, and that they're transparent to the current issues that we're facing in the Americas market right now. I think that this is a time where you know, retailers can't let the consumer down because the consumer has many other options where they can go at this moment.
Yeah, for sure. Anything you guys want to add? Shawn, did you want to add to that from what you're seeing?
Yeah, I think Jason really hit the nail on the head. You know, I think with everything going on, it's a moment of reflection, I think, for all of us and for our customers. And with that, I think it's impacting how customers shop and where they shop. How they're shopping is certainly a function of what's happening just economically. We know a lot of our consumers are dealing with some challenges and certainly being a lot more cost conscious than they've ever been before. And so, you know, I see that really, you know, impacting our business in sort of the products that they're gravitating towards. They want things that can last, things that will stay in their wardrobe and build on those essentials and not throw away fashion. You know, and the other side of it, to Jason's point as well, I think customers are more conscious on the brands that they are going after and do they reflect their values. And so certainly as we look towards that younger consumer, they want to engage with brands that really have the same beliefs that they have and what they're standing for, whether it's sustainability or giving back to the community. So I think those two things are quite pivotal at this point in time.
Awesome. I think that's helpful. Dan, do you want to add to that?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think both Jason and Shawn have had excellent points. I'd say, especially if you have physical stores, keep in mind that this may be one of the few times your customers are getting out. So in talking with my folks in the field, one of the things is, there are a lot of things that aren't in our control, but one of the things we can do is make these personal experiences for people. You may be the only person this individual is talking to over the course of the day. So taking the time to really listen to what they have to say, hear what they're saying, and be flexible with how you get that person's needs satiated in the transaction. Not just, I know we talk a lot about convenience and buy online, pick up in store and all these sorts of things, but keep in mind it still is a relationship when you're doing the things personally.
Yeah, that's actually a great point, Daren, because it is a relationship, because the consumers really feel like they're doing business with the brand, with people in the stores, but also like with the brand digitally. And everything that's going on, how are we adapting messaging, in response to that? And Shawn, I'm going to have you go first on this one. What are you doing to adapt the messaging for kind of consumers in this crazy environment?
For our team, we're really focused. I keep calling these the 3 C's. It's about clarity for us. It's convenience for our customer, and from a product and use perspective, it's about comfort. I mean, we all know, probably many of us are wearing sweatpants right now, but certainly having that comfort from a product perspective is critical, and the versatility. We know our lives have changed. So how is someone going to work? Where are they working? Whether you're jumping on a Zoom call to picking up your child from school. So we're really focused on that piece of how the assortment comes together for the consumer and ensuring that it's very clear. And as Daren mentioned, when we get to the store, we want customers to be able to find the product really easily. We don't want them sifting through a lot of different products to get the things that they want. So we're really making a big effort on really reducing the noise in the stores, making clearer presentations so the consumer can get in and out, and just creating statements that count for them. And then just the last piece of it, I would just say is, I think the other interesting thing is we're thinking about how we can also message what we believe in an authentic way. Right now we just launched something online where we have a collaboration with a Black-owned bookstore, and we're offering those books for sale and on our website, and those proceeds go back to the store. There's a lot of things that we're working on in terms of just the moment that we're in, that we know as a company we have a commitment that these values are important to us, and we also want to ensure that the customer can shop with us and feel like they are getting product that they want, but also buying into a bigger message that is important to them as well.
Yeah, that makes sense. And especially with younger consumers, being able to kind of signal to them that the brand is aligned with their values through those types of partnerships is smart. Anything that you want to add to that? Any other kind of changes in messaging?
Yeah, I would just add that, you mentioned the word values, and, for Uno Day 50, our digital team has done such a great job pivoting since the summer to take our messaging directly back to what our values are, which are bold, unique, and creative. So all of the messaging that you'll see from us as a consumer through our online channels or mobile devices will all be around those 3 values. So today there was an email that came out actually as I was on this meeting, and it's bring out your most creative side, because we know that people are at home, they're dealing with things on a daily basis throughout this COVID-19 pandemic. And so we're trying to bring joy to people's lives through our values and through our messaging.
Awesome. Yeah, Lucie?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I just wanted to say, I think something everyone has said, but it's very important, is the authenticity. And I think to be able to show empathy with your user, you need to be authentic. Yeah. And so many things are happening right now that I think it's very important to say that you don't have to react to every single thing. And it's okay to react only to the events and the things that are meaningful for you. And you're going to be empathic, and you're going to have the right message if you react to what's really matter for you and where you can really have authenticity. So I would say not reacting on everything, but reacting on what matters for you and based on your value.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. We don't all need to get messages telling people that we know that the country is having hardships due to COVID like we all did at the beginning of this pandemic.
Yeah.
It was definitely an interesting time. I want to switch to e-commerce for a minute. And Lucie, I'm going to stay with you for 1 second on this. But you shared a lot of good data. And there were points relating to speed. 2 people had questions on it. One was from Brian McPherson, who asked what solutions are out there to decrease load time. And then the other one was from Raul Kaul, who asked specifically if sites should use adaptive sites versus responsive to decrease load time, since you kind of pointed out how much site abandonment is affected by load time. Do you have any recommendations for this?
So I can tell you that for us at Contentsquare, it's a huge focus. We announced yesterday the acquisition of a synthetic web performance monitoring. So definitively, I recommend the usage of this kind of tool. If you're interested, you can have a look to our choice. That is Darboost. We really love the team, love the technology. And it's very interesting. I think it's very important to be able to know what is the feeling of your user. And one of the very interesting features they have is the rendering, meaning they show you exactly what the user see when it's coming to the website. And it's that show you like perhaps a time before your page is fully loading is 5 seconds, but it's very different if after 1 second they already have a feeling or if they have no feeling, you know? So I think it's very important to, as always, to have a tool that is helping you understand from the shoulder, from your user perspective, you know. So not focused on too technical stuff, but really focus on what is the impact for them and how they are receiving your proposition. And I think in terms of technical choices of how you build your website, it's hard to give a recommendation because there are so many things that can impact performance, from if you choose responsive or web adaptive, but also the amount of content you have, the amount of third party you are calling on your website. So it's really a mix of all those things that is going to help you improve performance.
Awesome. That's really helpful. Anyone else have any performance recommendations, since people seemed particularly intrigued by that?
I think it's all I would add is that's not something you just do for the holiday. Like if you don't know whose job it is to improve your performance and everything from your website all the way to like backroom operations at stores, you better figure out who it is and make sure they're moving the ball forward.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, while we're on the topic of e-commerce, what else are you doing to adapt your e-commerce experience, given the pandemic and this holiday season? Daren, I know when we talked earlier, you mentioned some new initiatives that you're rolling out or have rolled out.
Yeah, I think I like to, if we're going to be in panels, not just say what everybody hears in the news, we're focused on, I don't know, there's probably a better word. For me, it's like the tweeners. So like, I always use my mom as an example. So she had never bought a grocery online, and now she buys all her groceries online. So her definition of what being like digitally fluent and really slick at e-commerce is very different than what mine is, right? So one of the things we've understood in our customer base is they're people who want the convenience, they want e-commerce to be simple. We've made changes to make that, reduce friction and all the things that we talk about at these conferences. I think a very underrepresented item are the people who are kind of in the midst of their journey to becoming digitally savvy, and they may not get fully there by the time this holiday period comes in. So we've done a ton of appointment selling. We've done a ton of guided like video selling. We'll have associates zoom in and talk with people to walk them through the product collection. We created for the first time digital assets so that we can walk people through a guided shopping experience. We have a strong in-house customer service. They've always done that, but we've expanded it to cover store regions, et cetera. So you blend together the traditional clienteling you've had with the stores with some of these new tools to create like a hybrid of like, how do I walk you through placing an online order? I think that's going to be really important. I think don't underestimate gift cards are going to play a much different role this year. When there's less travel, less people getting together, at some point, you're going to throw your hands up in the air and just be like, okay, here's a gift card that you can send out. So find those little niche experiences where instead of looking for one silver bullet, understand there may be 4 or 5 initiatives you can work against that are relatively light lift that can get you where you need to be, and also utilize like the great people you have in your stores that have really weird traffic patterns right now, and find ways that they can do outbound calls and just check in with customers. And it doesn't have to be about a hard sell, but like, how are you doing? How are things been? Do you feel comfortable coming to the store? If you don't feel comfortable, would you like me to set you up with an appointment at 7 a.m? So like, you don't have to talk to it. You'll have a parking spot. You don't have to talk to anybody. You don't have to deal with other people. Like, find the ways to connect with people. And I think that's going to be huge for this holiday.
You gave a lot of great advice there in terms of, getting creative on helping onboard new customers, both in terms of like online shopping, but then also, creating comfort for in-person shopping. Any other like advice or suggestions or examples of how you have adopted e-commerce sites? Shawn, Jason, you want to chime in here?
Yeah, I can jump in. We introduced customization in an Uno de 50 way about 2 years ago. And we were a little late, if you will, to the trend of customization. But, I think that, our founder and our creative director wanted to do it in a way that was in line with, who the aesthetic of Uno de 50 and also, what the consumer expects. And so as we look into holiday, we are making a very big push on customization this year. We have seen that we've attracted Gen Z consumers based on this product model, if you will. And what we've been growing our customer base with Gen Z, but on top of it, we're going to be using an artificial intelligence that allows for virtual styling online through use of an app where the consumer can try the jewelry on and see how they physically look in the moment with this jewelry on, and customize their products, if you will. And I just wanted to make a point about customization and how we view it. We feel that customization at this moment allows consumers to express individuality. It allows them to convey their cultural identities, and then finally it facilitates social connections, if you will. And so we want to hit all of those points from a customization perspective. So we're excited about this new intelligence that we're rolling out, and we should see it online in December. So very excited about it.
That's very cool. So another example to add to your list, Lucie, of sites launching.
Yeah.
I would love to have the example on my slide, Jason.
Absolutely. Let's talk.
That's great. Both you and Daren kind of mentioned you customers. Jason, you have an influx of millennial and Gen Z, and Daren has customers that are maybe first-time e-commerce. Carolyn Kratofil asked if you expect the customers to return after the holiday season versus purchasing once. Like, do you think that these customers are gonna keep shopping, or do you think this is a temporary situation for them?
For us, we are viewing this as a long-term, relationship that we're going to connect with all of the traffic that's coming on to our site, through Q4. I believe that the habits of shopping are transitioning right now, and has been transitioning for quite some time. But we believe that the relationship that we foster with these consumers, we have an opportunity to keep them as a long-time customer. We're going to look at lifetime value of these customers as well, and how we market to them, and then how we interact with them from their first point on our site.
Yeah, if I can comment here, I think from what we see with our customer, there is no going back. It's like when the mobile was introduced, there is no going back. People get used to it, see that it's convenient, and I really think it's a long-term trend. And again, I think this with great power come great responsibility. And it's really we need to invest in the experience. We need to make sure that they keep having like we keep helping them and making their life easier when they come to the websites.
Yeah, for sure. And I think your data showed that, there's some pulling back when stores open, but it's never, I think most people believe that when you have stores and when things go back to normal, it'll return back a little bit, but no one believes it's going to go back to where it was. The question is just like how far between where it is now and, where it was, like where will that curve move? And that's the big question.
I was going to say, if you know that, we can just end this talk now. Perfect.
We'll start taking bets over under on that and figure out where we are.
I think the question that is going with that also is how much you are losing because of people switching to online, because we know that when you are in a store, it's much easier to inspire you to increase the average cart, So I think it's also super important to see like conversion going from in-store to online. How can you create the same inspirational moment? How you can help them like buying more or like having more, I would say, pleasure purchase, and not only must have convenient, because at the end of the day, it's what makes your business, but it's also what makes joy for your customer. So it's not only, I'd say, it's not only a brand perspective to be able to create this atmosphere on your website.
Yeah. And Lucie, that's a perfect segue, because I wanted to ask the panelists about that, the brand kind of creating that festive atmosphere. And Shawn, I guess I'll start with you. What are you doing to create the festive atmosphere on the Tommy Hilfiger site, since that is setting the tone for the holiday shopping this year?
Yeah, I think Lucie got it perfectly. We're really focused on when the customer goes online, they should have the same experience and feeling as if they're walking into a store. So, one of the things that we're doing for a holiday is we are launching these virtual themed rooms, so to speak. So it's as if the customer can go into a room, depending on the wearing occasion, whether they're, dressing up at home, or they want to relax with their family. So we're creating these virtual rooms so the consumer can actually navigate through the shop in the same way that they would navigate in a store. So I think, again, there's a lot of things that we're working on, but we're trying to find that sweet spot where the consumer goes onto our website, they're feeling like they're in a store environment, so that we can replicate that as much as we can, whether it's the music that's played, how do you delight them? To your point, we know that people are wanting to feel inspired at this moment in time, and that can happen through product. We've also seen an uptick in our female consumer shopping for herself, where pre-pandemic, we saw that the woman was shopping for her family. She was shopping for her husband, for her children. We've actually seen that slight shift where she's actually looking for things for herself. And I think that just speaks to the mindset right now. People want to feel good, and they're looking to find things that can have them feel happy, whether that's a new sweater or a new jean. But again, as we're thinking about this holiday moment, it's an opportunity for us to think about gifting and making it easy for them, and curating, collections and ideas around great gifts for dad, gifts under moments, last minute gifts. So we're really trying to get into consumers' head at the entire phase of the holiday shopping and really curating the moments based on where we are in that lifetime value of the holiday shopping period.
That's a really creative, the gift guides are critical, and the rooms is a really creative way to kind of help customers navigate through. Daren, I know you guys are in full on festive mode on verabradley.com. So anything you want to
I don't know, like our holiday is such a big thing, and we have holiday patterns, and we try to create a festive atmosphere. What I would add is this year we added some connected TV spots over the top of it with very targeted audiences, with a, kind of gifting all the way festive holiday theme, but with a definitive nod to like, this is not a normal world that we're living in. So I think we're trying to run a balance of, it's time to take a step back and reflect on what's important in your life and with your family. And the gifts are a small part of that, but without going too over the top, which we're normally pretty at the top end of the festive range.
Now, That makes a lot of sense. Although being at the top end of the festive range is not a bad thing, right? People need joy, they want to escape, so it's also a good thing.
We started early, and it seems to be checking with people. So I think there's a group of people who could, whatever that song is, we could use a little Christmas right this very minute. That's the feeling they're hoping for right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess related to that, I want to kind of talk about the promotion strategy, since that's so related. And also Michael Moustakis has asked if there's anything that you recommend to encourage earlier shopping given the predicted delays. And I feel like those two are somewhat related. Daren, you're nodding. Do you want to take that one first?
Oh man, there are a couple of things, right? Some tells me that we're going to unwind a little bit on this question. So I'm very worried about shipping delays. I'm worried about shipping surcharges. I'm worried about, if you look at aggregate growth, pick your number, but everybody would say e-commerce is at least a third bigger than it was before. We all know there are challenges during the holiday season, and I have empathy for UPSs and the FedExes and the Amazons that have to scale these big supply chains up and down for the holiday season. It's going to be worse this year. So we've gone out of our way to do as good a plan as we can. Well, I put quotes around that because 2020, whatever your plan was sort of out the window by the beginning of March. So we have made some very concerted efforts to move some of our bigger events into early November. So I am throwing caution to the wind on the election, and I'm backing one of our biggest events of the season up into next weekend. And it may be the dumbest thing I've ever done this year, but it's a press from our organization to make sure that we can adjust to, we're still social distancing in our warehouse. We're still worried about shipping delays and things like that. And this gives us a chance to then read and react to what that volume is going out. But I think moving that messaging forward and listen to your customers. I mean, I think if there's one thing to take away, be clear, but be open-minded and be flexible, because whatever we've learned this year, whatever you think it's going to be, you're going to be wrong and it's going to go in a different direction. So I think you have to incent people to come in early, give phone calls, make sure you're doing price guarantees if that's your type of business, of help people understand, I'm there to take care of you and make sure you get whatever deal you're looking for, because we want to spread that demand out as best we can.
So pulling up promotions, Shawn, anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, we're doing a very similar thing. We really think about spreading out Black Friday up. I mean, we've already started. So really thinking about that sort of Black Friday moment happening from, mid-October all the way through to the end of December. And we messaged it that way. We also see it, for the consumer that wants to come in stores, that's part of a safety measure as well. You're not going to face those big crowds on that day. So that's another way that we're trying to pull it in early, so that it's more spread out. But certainly making many of the same efforts that Daren mentioned. It's critical knowing just where we are, that we just have more time to read the business and make those adjustments. So we're certainly focused there. And then the other thing I would say is, knowing that the consumer is more cost conscious, that doesn't mean we're necessarily going to discount a lot more than we have historically. It will be spread out, as I mentioned, but we're also highlighting, price points that we feel will engage the consumer. So where we might have messaged, the top tier product, we're actually messaging across, our pricing architecture, because we know that everyone is sitting at a different point in time. And so it's really important to us that we're also celebrating those opening price points to really engage the consumer during this time.
That makes a lot of sense. So not just pull up promotions, but just make sure that there's something for everyone. Yes. Well, we're running out of time, but I want to make sure I ask one last question because it's so critical to this conversation, which is stores. Both Daren, you and Shawn have stores, and Jason, I think you have some as well as wholesale businesses. Obviously, there's a lot of factors with stores these days, including, creating the right holiday atmosphere, but but you can't have the Black Friday crowds that you had before. You've talked about that in some of the other questions we mentioned. What are you doing to kind of adapt the store experiences this holiday to still kind of create that festive environment, but make sure that they're safe and secure for customers who are shopping?
Yeah, I think we've focused a lot on using clienteling, I think anybody who has a big e-commerce business, you've had to staff up your customer service for the increase. You just get more customer service contacts from e-commerce orders for a variety of reasons. We've been using that outbound capability to check in on customers that we have a good history of them kind of doing repeat shopping. And like I said, trying to work with them to see if they're going to make a purchase, how do we spread that across? So, take advantage of your Monday through Friday opportunities. So, and I think a lot of people are going to end up there. I think the peaks have not been as big as we've seen before because people don't want to go into a crowded mall. That's not the first thing on their mind. And even if you lose, a few percent off that, it's meaningful. So we've been adapting and having more kind of dialogues and conversations than just blast emails and, promotions. And what I just want to tag on, there's some underlying things in the questions of like, be more promotional. I think that's highly dependent on your supply chain. I think if you're in electronics or grocery, you may be more promotional to capitalize on demand. But I think like most retailers, we very publicly slimmed our forward receipts. I would expect many people did that for a variety of reasons. So I, for one, do not think that this Q4 will be radically more promotional than what we've seen in the past, just because the supply chain may not be there for people to be that promotional. Yeah. My 2 cents. I was a little all over the place, so I'll pass it off.
Jason, Shawn, anything you want to add to that?
No, Daren actually hit on, I don't want to reiterate. I 100% agree with everything he said. Just, one last thing is we're tapping really into our loyalty program. And it's similar to kind of what Daren said, just those customers that have been with us that are loyal. We're really speaking to them intentionally to create that relationship that can ensure that they feel comfortable coming in to shop, and also communicating on what's happening online. Because for us, whether you're comfortable in store or shopping online, it's the same brands. We want you to have the same experience. So we're also making sure that that's clear to our customers.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would just add on something exciting that we're doing with our retail stores is we are going to be doing some exciting off-site pop-up shops in the same malls that are gift shops, if you will, where we can, essentially handle overflow of customers in the event that it happens. So we're looking on, for example, in Plaza Las Americas, we're going to be going to the opposite end of the mall with a gift store there, and we'll be doing it in a couple of other malls as well. So we're excited to be able to practice, safety, but also, not make people wait longer in long lines to try to give them a piece of Uno de 50. So we're excited to practice this as a safety regime.
Yeah, we're doing some of the same. We're not calling them pop-ups, we're calling them spread outs because it feels a little more social distance appropriate.
It's awesome. It's a great recommendation. So appointment setting, so you can come in when the store is empty, as well as spreading out your foot traffic with multiple locations. I think thank you so much for participating. You've all offered just a wealth of insight for the community. And for those of you who are joining us, thank you for watching. Just quick reminder, our next webinar is Wednesday, and it's on post-holiday battle plan, growth strategies for 2021 and beyond. We hope you'll join us. Thank you all for tuning in today. Have a great day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Be nice to your teams.
That's right.
Good one.
Yeah.